first time I saw her, her smile was light and tender as the morning sun.
For the woman whose smile still warms you, a light and tender wine. Gallo Pink Chablis belongs to the world you share and makes your world a special place. Gallo Pink Chablis, a special wine to share.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
One, two.
Hey, Mr. Smiley Face, breezing into town. Shiny, happy people seem to follow you around. Kiss a couple babies, slap a couple backs. Man, that ain't how it plays on this side of the tracks. Nobody gives a damn about your fancy clothes.
This episode is a tribute to the legendary winemaker Robert Mondavi. Robert Mondavi had great passion, enthusiasm, a desire for excellence. I had the great privilege of meeting Mr. Mondavi many times over the years. The first time I believe I met him was in the late 70s at a dinner at the old El Rancho Motel in Santa Rosa, where he had a reunion with his brother Peter Mondavi of the Charles Krug Winery. I also saw him give a speech at the Monterey Wine Festival, also in the late 70s. Over the years, I saw him many times give great, impassioned speeches about winemaking, and he was just an incredible person, and he just had so much energy. The last time I saw him was just a few years ago at the Wine Literary Dinners in San Francisco. And even though he was quite up there in the years, he still gave an impassioned speech honoring Robert Lawrence Balzer, the great wine writer from the former, or I should say from the LA Times and from Southern California. But the fondest memory I have of Robert Mondavi is probably some of the wines he produced, particularly some of the wines from the 70s. The 1974 Cabernet Sauvignon, the 1978 Fumé Blanc, the 1978 Riesling. By the way, the Riesling and Sauvignon Blanc are two of the best wines of its type I've ever tried to this day. And I got to enjoy a 1979 Fumé Blanc Reserve that had been put aside in my cellar and forgotten about, and I got to drink it in 1991, and believe it or not, that 1979 Fumé Blanc made completely from Sauvignon Blanc grapes was one of the finest wines I've ever tasted, even though it was 12 years old. It was absolutely stunning. So please enjoy this episode of Wine Nation TV, a tribute to a great man and one of the most important figures in the history of American winemaking, Robert Mondavi.
C'est presque au bout du monde, ma barque vagabonde, errant au gré de l'onde, m'y conduisit un jour. L'île est toute petite, mais la fée qui l'habite gentiment nous invite à en faire le tour. Yucari, c'est le pays de nos désirs. Yucari, c'est le bonheur, c'est le plaisir. Yucari, c'est la terre où l'on quitte tous les soucis.
Good afternoon. We're with Genevieve Janssens, the director of winemaking for Robert Mondavi Winery in, Napa Valley, of course. And we're actually in Oakville, is that correct?
Absolutely, yes.
It's absolutely beautiful today. Nice, warm, little breezy day. Tell us a little bit about how you got your start. You were born in France, and you had some rather special training at the University of Bordeaux.
Yes, I was totally raised in a family of people in the vineyard and the winery. So my day-to-day life at home when I was very young was to talk about vineyard, exploring winemaking, and improving always the wine. So it's very natural for me since I am born to talk about wine and vineyards.
Now, you were trained by some legendary people. Could you maybe mention who those people were?
Yes, I have been trained for tasting by Émile Pénaud, and for my formal training by Jean Ribeiro-Gaillon and his son Pascal Ribeiro-Gaillon.
What are some of the things over the years that they taught you?
They taught me to be very precise in what you have to learn, and Émile Pénaud taught me to always observe, and because Émile Pénaud was coming from a very simple background, so he taught all of us as students to really observe details and make conclusion all the time, but building all your data before making conclusion.
Very interesting. Tell us a little bit about your family's vineyards.
My family vineyards, it is a very simple vineyards. It was more like bulk wine blending, but my father was always interested to improve and always trying to thrive for quality. That's why he asked me to go to Bordeaux to improve his own vineyard and wines.
Where were those vineyards located?
In the beginning of my life was in Algeria and Morocco, and then in Corsica, and then in Provence.
And now you moved to Napa in 1978. What made you move to California?
Totally the philosophy of Mr. Mondavi and his passion for wine.
And you worked as a lab assistant or an enology at the Mondavi Winery.
Yes, for 2 years.
And that was back in 78. And you stayed in California, and you also did, I guess, a little bit after that, you did some consulting work for other wineries. Is that correct?
Very small wineries, and one was located in where I was living in Merced, so Mariposa Winery, which doesn't exist anymore.
But you were drawn back to Robert Mondavi, and that was to work at the Opus One Winery. And what year would have that been?
It was in 1989 when they were looking for a person in charge of the production, and I sent my resume because I was feeling ready to go back to the world of winemaking, and they were looking for somebody almost like me, so I got the job.
And then you actually ended up where you are today as director of winemaking for Robert Mondavi Winery here in Napa, and that would have been 1989, is that correct?
For Robert Mondavi Winery, it was 1997.
97.
End of 97. So my last vintage at Opus One was 1997. My first vintage at Robert Mondavi Winery was 1998.
Tell us a little bit about, maybe give us some reflection of your experience with Mr. Robert Mondavi.
It's incredible. It's impossible to forget it. Any employee who has been around him has been taught and mentored with the best vision ever, I think, for any business, in fact. So he was always asking us to never sleep over your laurels and always continue to thrive, and to be sure then you will never end up saying, I'm satisfied. So I am always in search. That was Mr. Mondavi who taught me that, in search of being better, and passion of wine, passion of people, passion of everything. So I must say that Mr. Mondavi has been a great mentor.
tell us a little bit about some of the renovations that are going on now at the Robert Mondavi Winery.
Yes, in 2000 we have opened a fantastic new cellar for our high-end Bordeaux varieties red. So it has, just to show the commitment of Mr. Mondavi to quality, he wanted to really extend his winery to perform the best of the best, and we have done it, and it's fantastic. We have all our tanks in oak, and it is a perfect match with the vineyard. So again, Mr. Mondavi inspiring his employees to match vineyards and winemaking to perform to be the best and try to be the best.
Tell us a little bit about the Mondavi Vineyards.
The Mondavi Vineyards, Mr. Mondavi selected Oakville because he knew that Oakville will be one of the best for Cabernet Sauvignon, and that has been his dedication. It is very, very good for Sauvignon Blanc too. So we have two incredible wines made here in our vineyard named Tocalon, and this is the Cabernet Sauvignon and our Fumé Blanc, and they are outstanding. So Mr. Mondavi selected this vineyard because he knew from forever then a great wines come from great vineyards, and we have great vineyards here.
Now, tell us a little bit about the Mondavi Reserve Cabernet. Would that be made partly from those grapes, or tell us a little bit about a couple of the different upper-end wines, the Reserve Cab and et cetera?
Yes. Our Cabernet Sauvignon Reserve are made around 90% of Tocalon. They are getting better and better every day. And our Fumé Blanc Reserve is made of 100% of our Tocalon vineyards. So we are hoping that one day we will be 100% Tocalon. And it is absolutely outstanding vineyards. Every day I'm discovering new things in this vineyard.
What are some of the other vineyard sources that you utilize for the Mondavi Napa wines?
The other vineyards are around Tocalon. We do have excellent vineyards in Oakville, and Oakville being the heart of the valley for Cabernet Sauvignon. We are very lucky to have owners who has helped Mr. Mondavi since 1966, and they are still faithful to the passion and the vision of Mr. Mondavi. So those are owners of vineyards, viticulturists and vintners are helping us tremendously to make Cabernet Sauvignon Reserve. All those grapes go to the Cabernet Sauvignon Reserve.
How would you describe the Mondavi winemaking style and your style of winemaking?
I would say very classic. Mr. Mondavi has been inspired by Bordeaux and the French culture, but bringing all those tools to California, to his environment in Oakville, and adapting those technique to his terroir and his weather and his vineyards. So it is a classic way of modernizing, for me, the area of Tocalon and refining the Tocalon and the Oakville appellation.
Would you say, so the word refined, would you think that would apply to the wines, that they're refined and elegant and complex, or?
Absolutely, I think so too, because Mr. Mondavi always wanted the complexity and the refinement, and then belonging to the soil and to belong to where he has his grapes. So it's a very nice blend of whatever from two worlds, and I think it's really interesting to do that, to be there. I think it's special.
What does the future hold for both you and the Robert Mondavi Winery?
I think the future is bright because we are replanting at the present time all the vineyards. So we do have from the new company Constellation a plan of 10 years of replanting Tocalon to reshape it, to be sure that in 10 years we continue to thrive.
Great, thank you very much. I want to thank you for watching this special episode of Wine Nation TV, a tribute to the legendary winemaker Robert Mondavi. I also want to mention one of the highlights of my career is when I was invited in the early 80s to the world launching of the Opus 1 wine, the first two vintages in the 1979 and the 1980 Opus 1 wines in San Francisco. I got to attend a luncheon with Robert and his wife and Baron Philippe de Rothschild and his wife and everyone that was anybody in the wine industry. It was a spectacular luncheon and event and one of the most important events certainly in the last 25, 30 years in the California wine industry. So thank you again for watching. We hope you enjoyed the show.